This podcast is recorded on Gadigal land. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Hey chicks, I'm Al.
And I'm Sal.
And this is Two Broke Chicks, the show that shares life lessons and tips to help make you rich in life.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a week.
I
How
know,
are we? I'd
what a
start
week.
every week like that, being like, another one. Thank you.
It's what we do. It's what we do.
Seriously,
It's
how's
because
your week?
we record on a Friday, so you're always reflective on a Friday.
Yes.
It's been good. It's a very rainy day in Sydney today. I'm excited for the weather to cool
Oh my
down.
God, I know. When I asked Schmalexa, I say it like that because we always set off people's things.
Yeah, true.
It's probably still going to do it. I was like, what's the weather tomorrow? And she was like, a high of 17 and a low of 15. And I was like, that can't be.
Yeah.
I was like, that just, no way. And then
Crazy girl.
I know. And then I asked her 3 times. I was like, to clarify, you're saying 17?
Yeah, you're like, are you sure that's
I was
right?
like, are you sure? Because don't
mess with me.
Do you mean 27?
No,
But
don't.
she didn't.
Thank
She meant
God.
17, and I was like, what a day to be alive.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say we are recording in our newish studio, and this is the first time that we've recorded while it's been raining. So we'll see if we pick up any of the pitter patter in the background.
It will be
might
quite nice.
Add to the ambiance for you
Yeah, a
chicks.
bit of ASMR.
But what's your
I
obsession
would
of the
actually
week?
love that. My obsession. Okay, my obsession is an obsession, but I've also potentially done a best friend blasphemy.
Oh, what have you done?
Unfortunately, my obsession of the week is that yesterday evening I tripped, fell, and pressed play on the entire season of Heartbreak High.
You watched the entire season.
The whole thing.
How many episodes are there?
9?
What? How late did you go to bed?
I don't want to talk about it.
Was it good?
It was like another one. Thank you. Like,
Well, we did that the last time it came out. We
it's
watched
just
the entire
most
thing.
bingeable show, and then I did the fucking thing when I finish it, and then I remember that's the final season, and I go, "You dumb bitch."
Is it sad?
There was a couple times that I was like, "Oh,"
Yeah,
but
that's the
I don't feel like they twisted the knife as much as they could have. Because, like, I think this show came out, I'm going to just punch a number in the air and say 6 years ago.
Yeah, I think it
Roughly.
was 5. I've seen in a lot of
Roughly.
captions them being like, it's been 5 years,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So
That, like,
whether that's when they started
really-
filming, I don't know.
They really could have leaned into the, like, last episode and episode 1 flashback a bit more. 'Cause I love that shit.
Oh, same. I'm
I
a
love
sucker
that
for a
shit.
montage.
Yeah. Give me a memory montage any day of the fucking week. Show me growth.
Even in a film.
Show me growth.
Yeah.
Like,
love it.
whenever there's, like, a season finale or it's, like, the movie 1 versus movie 5 and, like, you look at the difference in, like, the actors and how they've grown up and stuff, waterworks every time.
Yeah, fully.
It's 10 out of 10. But I did love it. I thought it was great. I think all the actors on that show are incredible. Malachi is still
Fine as ever.
fine as hell. And I'm like,
Everyone
don't smile like that.
Everyone
Like,
in that entire cast is like a 10 out of 10
Yeah.
hottie.
I have multiple crushes. Harper,
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Like, Amory, everyone. I'm like, shut up, you beautiful
And
humans.
kiss me, you
Shut up and kiss
fool.
me, you fool. And then I was like watching it, and I'm watching Bryn, who plays Spider, and I'm like, we met you. Like, that's so weird. And
we
then
had
I'm
him on
like,
the show. Can't
yeah.
believe that was like 2 years ago.
I know.
Wild.
So anyway, it was really, really good. And I definitely had like some moments, but it felt like a good wrap up.
Yeah, good closure.
And like, you know, when a show ends, and they probably could have like kept going,
yeah.
but you're like, do you know what? This feels right. This feels right that we've wrapped it up here.
Because is it their last year of high school?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
I
so
kind of like that.
I
Like,
like
they
that
could have
too.
taken it into uni.
But it always sucks when shows do that.
Exactly.
Like when they graduate and then they go to uni, and it's every fucking high school show that's ever done that. It's always and now we have to deal with the fact that we're not at high school and the trials and tribulations of going to university. And it's like,
and they're all kind of
please get
split
degrees,
up.
we're good.
And
Like,
then,
it's being like, because some people don't go.
yeah.
And some people do go. And I'm like, now this is getting a little too close to real life.
Yeah, literally.
Maybe that's my issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really good, and Be careful of uneven surfaces in your home because you might trip, fall, and watch the whole season in one go.
Excellent. Okay.
What's your obsession?
My obsession of the week is a post I saw on Instagram, and it's ways I plan to become more difficult as a woman in
I
2026.
saw this and I liked this.
And I thought lots of chicks could get inspo from
Yeah.
this. Not moving out of the way,
Oh my God, yes.
which literally I tried to do the other day and somebody almost ran me over.
Do you ever just commit to it sometimes?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I can see and I can tell the person isn't going to move out of the fucking way. And so sometimes I can see and know that that person isn't also going to move. Like I think a mutual movement is required. I'm not expecting people to move out of my way, but I do enjoy a mutual movement of like an angle of shoulders, right?
Totally.
And you just fucking know. But I'm such a fucking wuss. And then if I do commit to it and then we do like smack shoulders, I'm always like, sorry.
Yeah, same. Same. Sending back food I didn't order.
Oh, yeah.
Love this one.
Yeah.
Sit back and relax at social events so I don't feel the need to be like the court's jester. Taking my time in the gym. Definitely something. I like see somebody coming up and I'm like, oh, move. It's like, no, you're
I have
not
to
done
go to
yet.
the gym first
Yeah,
to
that's
fulfill
okay.
that one, but then we'll get there.
Yeah. Advocating for myself at the GP. Did this the other day. Left and cried immediately in the middle of a mall, but still stood up for myself.
Yeah.
Saying no without an explanation. My fave. Asking for my coffee exactly how I want it.
Yes.
We do this.
Yeah. Okay, I feel better about myself.
Yeah, because it's like, and I think
Am
the
I
the way that she
difficult?
yeah, am I?
I also love
Annoying?
that like all of those things aren't being difficult. Like and
Yeah,
that's kind of the
the
crazy
point.
thing that it's like really like how difficult are those things, and the fact that that's like being more of a difficult in quotes woman. I'm like, let's ramp that up by about 100%.
Yeah.
Start calling people c***s on the street.
Yes.
Why not?
See a man come along, stick your foot out.
Yeah, like I think it could be a lot more difficult than
Yeah.
those things.
I
think
liked
that's
it
just-
though.
Do you know what that is? Like I get that it's a trend, but it's just about like not shrinking yourself and taking up more space
Yeah.
and asking for what you want.
Yeah, I'll put a link to the original post that I saw in the show notes. But yeah, that's how she wrapped it up at the end. She was like, none of these things are actually being
Yeah.
difficult. It's just advocating for yourself and saying what you want. And that doesn't make you
A difficult
difficult
woman.
person.
Well, on that note, shall we get into the episode?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so there is a recent article that has been written in Vogue, and it asks, is the girl boss making a comeback?
Speaking of throwbacks.
I know. So the article suggests that the girl boss might be making a comeback, and, you know, what is it and why did we ever fall out of this trend? Would we say?
Yeah. It was like a bit of a
Yeah.
phenomenon in the 2010s.
Yes. The term girl boss was first popularized by American businesswoman Sophia Amoroso, founder of the online fashion retailer Nasty Gal, which I was like, throwback.
I know. Did you ever watch her TV show on Netflix?
I was going to ask you about this. 'Cause
Yeah.
I never watched it, but I have seen people discuss it being like, it was really good.
It was so good.
Was it really cheesy?
It was, and it was like the epitome of those like 2010s shows where the lead is just insufferable.
Oh.
And she worked on the show too, I
Yeah.
believe. And I think that it was partially based on her book, hashtag
Girlboss,
Girlboss.
which also came out in 2014.
But yes, it was a real thing. She was definitely the face of that, but inspired like a whole phenomenon.
Yeah, a revolution, if you will. Because in 2017, the term hashtag Girlboss had reached over 2.5 million hashtag posts on Instagram. However, today, the hashtag Girlboss has more than 28 million hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah.
So like I think when you look at that, it's like, did it actually then go anywhere?
Yeah, seriously. Or I would love to do like a content analysis and see how many of those hashtags are being used ironically. Because I think people are still like girl boss or like
Girlboss.
the whole thing of like a girl boss too close to the sun. Like that
I
was a
love
meme
the,
for a
women
while.
in STEM What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wonder how many of those, like, women in STEM hashtags are actually women in STEM,
Yeah.
or it's just a little funny haha.
Yeah. Because I do think, like, as with so many of this, and we'll get into it later,
Mm.
it originates from a place of, you know, what's supposed to be either fun or empowerment.
Yeah.
However, when you kind of look at things with like this term, it can kind of fall apart a little bit
Yeah.
into why it's built up to
Mm.
that. And so Leah Shepherd, who has a PhD, says this idea of girl boss feminism arose in response to sexism in the workplace throughout the 20th century. Women were relegated to assistant positions and didn't have opportunities to grow. The 2010s were a time of female ambition and entrepreneurship. So the hashtag Girlboss movement was popular because part of its key messaging was encouraging female empowerment and women empowerment in the workplace and in life.
Yeah. Like, I think when it initially popped up, people found it really motivating and inspiring.
Yes.
And it was, we've referenced this sort of era in media as well. When we were growing up in the 2000s, so many of our favorite films and pop culture moments featured women in the workplace. Like, Suddenly 30 or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or even reality TV shows like The Hills, which showed them all working at Teen Vogue. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I want to be a career-oriented woman. And that was very inspirational as a child and as like a teenager and a young woman in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But like you said, with a lot of these things that do start off as inspirational, I do think when they become like a marketing term or move into like the mainstream, then they can potentially be picked apart and pulled apart, which is kind of like what happened with the Girl Boss, because despite the intentions of it being positive and uplifting, I think then people started to look at it with a more critical lens and say, is this actually aspirational or is it condescending?
Yeah. And I think you can probably have that discussion with so many things. For example, girl math.
Exactly.
So like girl math we had come out and it was tee hee ha ha funny.
Yeah.
That it would be like, oh, when I buy something online and I return it, I actually made money. Girl math.
Yeah.
And like kind of found it funny as well when it took off as like a little bit of a trend. And then we also had the counter part of boy math. Being like when he says he's 6 foot, that's boy math.
Yeah.
Still one of the funniest things to me.
Yeah, I love that. So
But similar with that, it then was kind of just like, are we then still furthering this narrative that, well, anything, any category, whether it's boss, whether it's dinner, whether it's math, as soon as we're putting the word girl in front of it, are we making it this frivolous thing not to be taken too seriously?
yeah, exactly.
And that is kind of where all of those trends, aesthetics, categories of distinction have gone towards.
Yeah.
It's not dumb. Girl math is actually the fact that women are better at money than men, statistically.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, whereas when something that has the word girl in front of it then becomes mainstream, the needle of it isn't pushed further to highlight how intelligent and smart women are. It actually becomes laced with a tone of condescension. And I really worked hard not to say condensation then.
Condensation.
That was like, my brain went into fight or flight and it was like, fuck, which one?
And then the caffeine kicked in and it went, I've got shit.
It was like, sit down. I'll handle this.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. And because I think with the term girl boss, especially, it putting girl in front of boss, like we don't call men boy boss.
Yeah.
They're just the boss. So it's like, oh, there's something really unique and magical and out of this world because you're a female who's also a boss. And that's,
Yeah.
yes, of course, we want to celebrate women in business. And we do know that women in business do have to face challenges that men don't. But also, like, is this, I think that's the thing. We started using this title as a way to empower women. But then it's like, is it actually separating
Yeah.
it and being like, you're good for a girl. Like, people used to say that in primary school, like, you can swim pretty fast for a girl, or like, you're good at this for a girl. Kind of gives that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
in a way, which I think people would get annoyed with because it gives a double standard that like, oh, good job. Isn't it so impressive that you
Yeah.
founded your own business? And it's like, why should that be considered something really marvelous? Like it should just be like we should be on an equal playing field. So yeah, so I think there were then lots of articles and things that came out in the 2010s and it was like the end of the girl boss and lots of people were tearing that down. And even I think then with Nasty Gal, for example, people were also very critical. Wow.
I
Freudian
think we
slip.
should all be a little bit more critical.
So people were also critical of brands like Nasty Gal and maybe some of the ethics of those businesses and of like the people behind it, as well as the movement in general. So while that was like a very millennial thing in the 2010s when millennial women were first going into the workforce, over the last like 5 or so years, I think we've seen people rejecting the notion, right?
Yeah. I think we've seen more of like a growth towards female founder rather than girl boss. But I do think you could potentially still maybe question why we even do need that distinction. I think you could look at it with the other lens of the fact that it is harder to be a female founder.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
more difficult to, get funding as a woman. It is more difficult to get promotions as a woman. So where there is distinction, you could also look at it as part of the fact that it is actually harder to be a woman in business. And what I thought was very interesting from that Vogue article as well was the discussion of the ambition gap between men and women. And we talk about a lot of these things. So, we've got the gender pay gap, but where the ambition gap comes into it is the fact that women do not get the same support and opportunities as men.
Yeah.
So their ambition and their drive can feel and fall flat because there's the thought of, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
I don't have the support I need to get that role. And I'm also doing all of these other things at home that if I was able, like, imagine how powerful women would be if they also had a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah, seriously. Wow.
I would,
Wow.
that would be great. Like, imagine what women could achieve if they also had, a stay-at-home wife or mum running the household for them.
Yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
great.
And because there's still so much guilt that comes with that as well, being an ambitious woman, especially if you do have a family
Yeah.
or you're in a relationship.
And when I'm
you-
saying that, I'm saying
Yeah.
that like stay-at-home mums and wives and all of that do so much.
Exactly.
So like that, like whether or not you do work or you stay at home, whatever that is, like that is a full-time role.
Yeah.
And so then you also, on top of that, have women that work full-time and do a lot of the unpaid labor of being a mum. And so it's like that snowball effect of it.
Yeah.
And so there was also a really interesting article in Psychology Today that highlighted the double standard with the girl boss theme and that it's sexist to suggest that women have different characteristics, skills, or preferences than those of men, unless those differences paint women in a more favorable light than men, in which case those differences should be shouted from the rooftops. So that's like kind of what we were saying before, being like, actually, women have more hurdles. So to have that distinction of a female founder or a girl boss, if you want to use that term, is to probably actually highlight the hurdles that women have to go through in order to achieve the same status level of workplace as a man.
As well as those critiques of the girl boss, we've also seen attitudes towards work change as well, just as a whole for Gen Z compared to millennials or other generations who may have resonated with the girl boss. So Gen Z are changing the way that they approach work. And I think a lot of people are prioritizing their mental health and work-life balance over career ambition. So we've seen a lot of articles about this and we have spoken about this kind of attitude shift before, but we wanted to know what you chicks thought about it. So we asked what you value most in your working life. Let's go from bottom to top. 15% of you said that you value your work's impact the most. 15% said you value your role title or dream job the most. 33% of you said you value your salary the most. And the most popular value, 36% of you said you value your work colleagues or team the most.
Shit.
Yeah. So people actually care more about their working environment and the people that they work with rather than even their job title or salary.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's nice, isn't it?
It is.
Is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good value to have because as well, at the end of the day, as much as I'm like you should be getting paid exactly what you're worth and what you deserve. But at the end of the day, would you rather be in a job that, yeah, maybe you're getting paid like fuck ton of money, like 200K a year, but you go in and you hate your life every single fucking day.
Exactly.
Or you earn less than that, but you go in and you like the people that you're around and stuff like that. Because we've had the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And like I've worked with people that I really, really liked and like that made going into work fun and exciting. And then I've worked with people that I fucking hated, like loathed entirely.
Yeah.
And it sucked. Like I would wake up and I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, it's soul destroying.
It's soul destroying to work with someone that you hate.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting because people aren't chasing promotions or, the dream of being a CEO. They're looking for a more holistic approach that provides them with more happiness and fulfillment, which I also think makes sense when we were talking about what people look back on in their life and they think about the most. And it's the relationships.
Yeah.
And you spend so much time with with your work colleagues.
Your work colleagues, like in your early 20s especially, when you just move out, you see your colleagues more than you see your own family.
Yeah.
So that's also why, like, whenever I'd be frustrated with a colleague or anything like that, because that's bound to happen, I would kind of tell myself, we see these people more than we see our family. So, like, naturally, there's always going to be some friction at some point in time. But I don't think you should ever be in the position where you're going into work with dread.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's like one of the worst feelings in the world. I think like dread anxiety is just, I really don't like that one. That one makes me feel not nice in the tummy. I don't like that one.
Yeah, that's Sunday scaries to the max.
Or being like, what's this person going to say today? How are they going to upset me today? How are they going to ruin my day today? And that like dread that for me, everyone would obviously have different like values of what they can get through. But for me, that one, I was just like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Here's my letter.
It was awful. But that's really like, that gives me a lot of hope. And I do really like that because we've also seen people valuing work-life balance more than career ambition and really like doing more than what they're being paid for.
What is quiet quitting?
What is quiet quitting, Sal? So quiet quitting is when an employee does exactly what they're paid for. So exactly what is in their job description and not going above and beyond that. So not working longer hours than you need to, taking your sick leave, taking your lunch break, and not working outside of your role description.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call that quiet quitting,
right?
to be honest.
Well, that was actually, we did get, because we polled the chicks and asked them what they thought about quiet quitting. 48% of you chicks voted that quiet quitting is setting boundaries. 16% said it was lazy. And 36% of you didn't really know what it meant. But we did get some interesting DMs basically pointing that out and saying this term of quiet quitting and laziness shouldn't even be
in the same
sentence. But that is some of the critiques and comments that I've seen online around quiet quitting, which is why I wanted to ask that because I don't think that it's necessarily true.
I don't think that's like a accurate name to the description of that point because you should be going into work for the set hours that you have and you should simply be doing what your job description states. Like, yes, every now and again, there may be this like thing that you want to go above and beyond for, or like once every 6 months, if there's like a shoot that starts an hour earlier, I don't know, right? But to constantly expect people to do more. There was this scene from a new Emma Stone movie that's coming out. And I literally just saw the one scene. I haven't seen the movie or couldn't even tell you the name of it, to be honest. I just watched the clip and then kept on scrolling. And she was talking with like a head of HR being like, and did you send out that email that we discussed? New era, new values, everyone needs to finish work and go home at 5:30.
Mm.
And she's like, but remember that tone, like we discussed.
Yeah.
And it was like, so like if you finished your work, no, go home. Go home if you finished your work. But if you haven't finished everything that you need to do, then, you know, use your better judgment.
Yeah.
And that kind of pressure that happens in the workplace so often
Yeah.
of like, I'm going to give you more than you are actually able to do within these hours. And then I'm going to put that stress on you. And that was also kind of referenced in this article that was like an expectation to do more and go above and beyond. Whereas we're now seeing a shift, especially within younger demographics, and why this kind of girl boss resurgence is happening is because people think, well, why should I put this much effort into growing something for you rather than growing something for myself?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the top careers for younger generations, and when I'm saying that, I'm meaning like Gen Z, so like late teens to early 20s. And I do think we're like this is bleeding up into like older generations as well, is to just be an entrepreneur and to own your own business. And it's why we're seeing this resurgence of the girl boss comeback, because people are like, why am I breaking my back for someone who actually doesn't even know my name?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like how that comes into it. And so I feel like quiet quitting needs like a rebrand, because that to me isn't quitting. That's just doing your job.
Yeah. Well, that shows where we've been as a society. If quiet quitting is doing what you're being paid for and what's in your job description, which I thought was really interesting. And I do like that we are moving towards people sort of asking these questions of, do I want to be doing this for somebody else, or do I want to be building something up for myself? Because also in even like the Australian social media industry, we're seeing so many incredible female founders building amazing brands and kind of becoming like girl boss icons in their own right. Like Brittany Saunders of Fate or Riley Hempson of Remy.
Grace Beverly, like they're amazing. I do think female founders definitely get held in a more critical lens than men, but I think we could go down that rabbit hole for a very long time. So rather than going down that, I want to get into more in a positive lens of what does being a girl boss mean to you? And so we also brought the chicks in to have this discussion. But in the Vogue article, it suggests that the girl boss era, whether it was positive or negative, maybe in the past, but it has changed the way women move in the workplace more. So we're now more aware of like the institutional issues facing feminist presence in professional settings. And while there's still a long way to go, we know the changes that need to happen, such as the gender pay gap and the fact that for every $1 a man earns, a woman on average earns only 88.8 cents. And in 2014, a woman on average was earning 81 cents to a man's dollar. So while it's improving in some ways, we also, it's not done, you know?
But also it's not just about the money too. Like it is about, you know, the different opportunities and the way that women are treated in the workplace and taken seriously as well.
Yeah.
And like creating safe space for women to do that and feel like they're being respected and listened to and taken seriously in the workplace. And I think the monetary dollar is just only one way that people do that. And like having these conversations around like female founders and in a way that isn't like the girl boss is back, because I think that we'll just fall into the same cycle. But yeah, being more clinical or critical.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, being a girl boss is going to look different to everyone. And what you get out of your career is going to be different to every single person. And 44% of you chicks said that some of your self-worth is tied to your career. And I think like we would definitely say the same. A lot of our identity is tied to our career even prior to doing this job. So I do think that it is important to get value and passion out of what you're doing, and whether that is still doing, you know, quite quitting in quotation marks and doing what you're paid for, but still asking yourself, like, is this something that I really want to do?
Yeah.
Or would I get more value out of working for myself?
Yeah. Or even like, I do also think values come into it in terms of like, do you even want to work that hard? Some people just love going to their shift, whether it's, you know, working in their favorite bookstore or, you know, making coffees, like whatever it is. Some people are like, yep, I want to just get in, get my paycheck, go live my life.
Yeah.
And like, that's amazing. I think my concern when we kind of pull in these things is it then puts this pressure on all women to be like, well, if you're not a girl boss,
Yeah.
you're failing. But that's not the case, because at the end of the day, you work to live, you don't live to work. And I do think we are getting so much more aligned to that in society and in life. And I think that's so much more fun, because like, what's the point in doing all of this is that, are you going to be at your funeral and someone's going to be doing your speech and they're going to go, Jessica was a really, really big girl boss and she always met her deadlines
Yeah.
and really knew how to run a marketing meeting.
She made an amazing spreadsheet.
Jessica could kill a spreadsheet. You know, she smashed that. Fuck that, you know, like they're not going to put girl boss on your tombstone. So at the end of the day, as fulfilling and incredible as enjoying your career is, that's like the main priority that it should be. You know, it shouldn't be the fact that you have to fulfill all of these check boxes to be able to be like, yep, cool, done.
Yeah.
I'm a girl boss. Because like at the end of the day, and what this entire thing is what does that actually even mean?
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, we asked you chicks, what does being a girl boss mean to you? And we wanted to read out some of our favorites. So number 1, having the ability to do it all and be sane.
Being independent, self-sufficient, and having meaningful relationships. I like that.
This one on the flip side, a woman in the workplace that would have bullied me in high school.
Oh, shit. Being a girl boss means building success on my terms.
Another one says, a patronizing term used by men.
Ooh. Understanding that as humans, we aren't undimensional. Do whatever makes you happy.
Then 2 we have is taking up the same space men do and not giving a fuck. And then another one says, cringy in my opinion, lol.
And then someone else said, I have no idea, but I want it.
I feel like that is exactly what this episode has encompassed.
Yeah.
That there are so many different opinions and views on this term.
Yeah.
And that how that term has evolved has been met with
like mixed responses.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I do think, as always with these internet terms as they arise, you can either lean into it or be like, no, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? Do you think you would start using the term girl boss?
No, never. I hated it then and I hate it now.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of like hashtag hustle culture.
No.
It's never been something that I aligned with. But I did always love when I saw people taking inspiration from it. And I love seeing the female founders who are now in the space, inspiring a lot of women out there to chase their dreams and build their own businesses and create the teams and workspaces that they want to be in. So I think it is that. It's looking at a term like girl boss, and if you can take inspiration from it, love that. And if you look at it and you see that it's just a bunch of letters jumbled together that really mean nothing to you, that's also fine.
Yeah. I don't think that would be my go-to word to describe someone that I look up to in a career way. Like, I don't think I would say like, oh, wow, like Grace Beverly is so smart. She's such a girl boss. Like, I'd be like, she's so smart. She's really good at productivity. Like, I don't think any of those descriptive words need to have the gendered term within it.
Yeah,
And
tacked
that's,
on.
yeah, and that's kind of how I look at it. And I don't think I always felt that way. Like when I was younger, like in 2014, I can't do maths, so I don't know how old I was, but I was 17. And I was like, oh yeah, like, yeah, so fun. And then also as you get older or you develop more and read more critical opinions of it, you're like, oh, okay. So I think it's a nice reminder to support women more and like to realize that we don't get given the opportunities and to seek support and to fuel your ambition in whatever ways that fill your cup.
The best way to support women in business is to give them space to create things, to ask questions, to get paid what they are deserved, and shop with businesses, small businesses that are founded by women. Follow women on Instagram and like boost them up in the comments when they're launching something. Like support your friends who are starting their own small business, and that's going to do a lot more than calling someone a girl boss.
Yes. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Well, thank you, chicks, for having us in your ear holes. We love to be here.
La la la.
Big kisses, big smooches, and we'll see you on Thursday.
With a strong woman in business.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye.